Let's review question 8 from our exam. A student is studying photosynthesis in trees. He placed 100 samples of living plant tissues in each of 4 sealed containers of equal volume. The amount of CO2 present in each of the containers was 250 cubic centimeters. The data shows the color of light and the temperature that each container was exposed to. The amount of CO2 remaining in each container at the end of 2 days is also shown in the table. Looks like that's right here. Assume that any experimental conditions not listed are identical in all 4 containers. That means they would be left constant. Which container would most likely have the greatest amount of glucose available for the process of cellular respiration? First of all, it looks like we need to know our equations. We're going to be looking at the equation of photosynthesis in this one. Remember, in photosynthesis, we have water, CO2, and sun, going into the equation, and then produced is going to be oxygen and glucose. And that's for photosynthesis. In cellular respiration, we're going to have glucose and oxygen going into the equation. We're going to have CO2, water, and ATP produced. So now that we have our 2 equations written, remember we're looking here at photosynthesis. So in photosynthesis, which is this one here, CO2 is going to be taken in. So that means the plants that are taking in the most CO2 are going to be doing the most photosynthesis. And in our answer choice here, we're looking for the greatest amount of glucose. So that means the plant taking in the most CO2 is also going to be producing the most glucose, because that means photosynthesis is taking place the most. Now the question also says available for cell respiration. So the reason it says that is because, remember, glucose is going to end up being a reactant in respiration. So that means the glucose that's produced in photosynthesis can go right into respiration. So our question is, which container would most likely have the greatest amount of glucose available for the process of cell respiration? So remember again, you're going to have more glucose if more CO2 has been used. So we're actually going to look for the number that has the smallest CO2, because the smallest amount of CO2 means they used the most. They all started at 250, and this one here, container 2, went all the way down to 50. So that means it used the most CO2, which means it would have produced the most glucose, which can then go into respiration. So your answer here is container 2.